Last week, the University of Houston introduced Tom Herman as its new head football coach. Herman heads to the Cougars from Ohio State, where he was the offensive coordinator for the past 3 seasons. He led the Buckeye offense to the first ever college football playoff with a 59-0 win over Wisconsin to claim the 2014 Big Ten championship title. He also earned the Frank Broyles Award as the nation's top assistant coach. Herman has learned a lot in almost 2 decades as an assistant coach and sounds ready to take the Cougs to the next level.
This is a dream come true for me and my family. I've always admired this program from afar. I really have, and it is really surreal almost to know that now I will be leading the charge. And I've learned many things, a couple things in my 16 years as an assistant. Most of them, a lot of them, were the last 3 years under head coach Urban Meyer, who is a fantastic mentor to me, one of the great champions in our great sports history. One of those things that I learned is you better compete every single day in everything that you do in order to be successful. And that is from the time you wake up and brush your teeth until the time you lay your head down on the pillow, and every now and again you might want to compete in your dreams too. But we will compete at the University of Houston.
Herman won't coach the Cougs in the Armed Forces Bowl and will see his job with Ohio State through the college football playoff. He has the opportunity to coach in the national championship game and wants to prepare to hit the ground running at Houston while also staying loyal to the team he has coached this season.
We put together a plan right when we knew that this was a possibility. We put together a plan to where for a certain amount of hours a day I can spend on the University of Houston and things that I need to do, securing a staff, to calling recruits, to everything from filling out human resource paperwork. And so, and when those hours are up, I put those to the side and I go in and we game plan and we prepare to beat Alabama. And does it make the workday a little bit longer? It certainly does for me, but that's to be expected, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. I thank him, I thank Mac for allowing me the opportunity to see this thing through with the kids that I've built such a strong relationship with, and feel like I owe it to them to help them reach their dreams of a national championship.
After experiencing so much offensive success at Ohio State, Herman plans to bring a relatively similar scheme to Houston.
It will be similar to Ohio State. I think one of the things I'm most proud of, when we first got to Ohio State, we had a core belief in offensive system. We wanted to be spread, we wanted to be in the shotgun, we wanted to be up-tempo, no huddle, and where that fit and what runs or what passes or the plays were insignificant at that point. We just said, these are our core beliefs. Now, let's go evaluate what we currently have on the roster and figure out how do we move the ball by still adhering to the core tenets that we believe in on offense. And my first year at Ohio State, we couldn't throw it from me to you, and we made no bones about it. I mean, we were really, really not a very good throwing team, but we had a very athletic quarterback. We had a great tailback and a good offensive line, and we kind of tweaked and twisted our offense to suit their strengths, and we wound up 12-0 and set a bunch of records doing it this year. And then as we move forward, we recruited the skill positions better. We developed our quarterback position better. And after 3 years, you see now we're setting records not in rushing, but for touchdown passes in a season, for completion percentage in a season. I think we finished second in the country in passer efficiency. So we've really improved that part of the offense throughout our tenure at Ohio State. But I think that takes time, and I think where coaches maybe fail a little bit is to pound their fist on the table and say, this is what we do, this is how we're going to do it. Whoa, let's figure out what our kids can do. Let's figure out what our players do best, and let's mold the offense around what they do best without straying too far from your core beliefs and tenets.
According to Herman, one of the most exciting opportunities about coaching at Houston is that he doesn't really have to leave the state of Texas to find some of the nation's top talent.
There's plenty of high school football players in the great state that we can go compete against with a lot of teams in terms of recruiting and what we have to offer young men coming out of high school. So I don't think you got to stray too far. I think maybe the bordering states, we might put a guy in Louisiana or a guy in Oklahoma, maybe a guy in Arkansas. But beyond that, unless a kid initiates the interest in us, I don't know that you need to really go any farther than this great state.
Herman told the Cougars the only thing they need to worry about is representing the University of Houston in the Armed Forces Bowl in front of thousands of fans on national TV. Defensive coordinator David Gibbs will lead the Cougs on January 2nd, and if Herman gets his way, Gibbs will be around a lot longer than one game as he begins putting together his new staff.
Yeah, the coaching staff, the current coaching staff will be evaluated. My plan is to come back early next week and meet with each coach individually, should they choose to. And we've had some discussions, myself and Mac, on some other guys, bringing some fresh faces to the staff. And specifically to your question about David Gibbs, I think I'm going to do everything I can to try to keep him around. Obviously, you know, he's a guy that's probably in very high demand out there, and we understand that. They've played some really good defense around here for the last couple of years, but it's my goal to make sure that he stays on staff.
Herman's Ohio State Buckeyes will take on Alabama in the Sugar Bowl for a chance to play in the national championship game. Then he will turn his attention to building Houston into one of the top teams in the country. For the American Digital Network, I'm Haley Outen.